Israeli strike kills Houthis government's prime minister. EU ministers urge US to reconsider decision of not allowing Palestinian officials in UN General Assembly. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Olivia Nicholas and you're watching World Today. Prime Minister of Yemen's Houthi government Ahmed Ghalib al-Rawi and several other ministers were killed in an Israeli strike on the capital, Sana'a. The news agency run by the group on Saturday said there were also scores of others were wounded in Thursday's strike but did not provide any further details. Israel said on Friday that the airstrike had targeted the Iran-aligned group's chief of staff, defense minister and other senior officials. Head of the Houthi Supreme Political Council, Mahdi al-Mahat's statement did not make clear whether the Houthi defense minister was among the casualties. Ahmed Ghalib al-Rawi became the prime minister nearly a year ago. The de facto leader of the government, which was his deputy Mohammed Moftah, who was assigned on Saturday to carry out the prime minister's duty of prime minister. Rahwi was seen largely as a figurehead who was not part of the inner circle of the Houthi leadership. The Israeli military said its fighter jets had struck a compound in the Sana'a area where senior Houthi figures had gathered. The Iran-aligned Houthis have attacked vessels in the Red Sea as an act of solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. They have also fired missiles towards Israel, most of which have been intercepted. Israel has responded with strikes on Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen, including the vital Hodeidah port. European Union foreign ministers remained divided on Saturday over the war in Gaza, with some urging strong economic pressure on Israel while others signalled they would not go that far. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said member states disagree on how to get the Israeli government to change course. Kallas said the ministers have urged the United States to reconsider its decision not to allow Palestinian officials to take part in the UN General Assembly in New York.
On the issue of denying visas to Palestinian authorities so that they can't participate in the United Nations General Assembly, in the light of the existing agreements between the UN and its host state, we all urge for this decision to be reconsidered, considering the international law and the way United Nations has been built up.
Undermining.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said Israeli actions were undermining a two-state solution to the Middle East crisis, and taking action against that would not make Hamas stronger. A two-state solution, the creation of an independent Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza living alongside Israel, has looked increasingly remote amid the devastation in Gaza from Israel's incessant strikes and the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. The EU Foreign Policy Chief also said she had asked EU governments to submit proposals next week for a new package of sanctions on Russia over its war in Ukraine. Several European foreign ministers arriving at a European Union meeting in Copenhagen on Saturday criticized the decision by the United States to not allow Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to travel to New York next month to attend a United Nations gathering of world leaders. Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel Alvarez said the U.S. move was unacceptable. Echoing the same sentiment, Irish Foreign Minister Simon Harris said the EU should protest the decision in the strongest possible terms. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said a UN General Assembly cannot be subject to any restrictions on access. Abbas had planned to attend the annual high-level UN General Assembly in Manhattan. He was also set to attend a summit there where Britain, France, Australia and Canada have pledged to formally recognize a Palestinian state. Abbas' office said it was astonished by the visa decision and said it violated the UN headquarters agreement. Under a 1947 UN headquarters agreement, the US is generally required to allow access for foreign diplomats to the UN in New York, Washington. However, he has said it can deny visas for security, extremism and foreign policy reasons.
We obviously hope that this will be.
Ukrainian former parliamentary speaker Andrei Parubi was shot dead in the western city of Lviv on Saturday, and a search was underway for the killer. The Prosecutor General's office said gunmen had fired several shots at Parubi, killing him on the spot. Prosecutor General's office said the attacker fled and a manhunt was launched. National Police said the shooting in Lviv was reported at around noon. Lviv Mayor Andriy Sadovi said finding the killer and establishing the circumstances of the attack was of utmost importance. Parubi, 54, was a member of parliament and had been a parliamentary speaker from April 2016 to August 2019 and was one of the leaders of protest in 2013-14, calling for closer ties with the European Union. He was also Secretary of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council from February to August 2014, a period when fighting began in eastern Ukraine and Russia annexed the Crimea Peninsula. Officials gave no immediate indication whether the murder had any direct link to Russia's war in Ukraine. Pakistan's Provincial Disaster Management Authority in Punjab issued a damage report on Saturday saying 1.5 million people and 2,308 villages had been affected due to severe flooding in Ravi, Sutlej and Chenab rivers. Punjab's Provincial Disaster Management Authority, PDMA, said on Saturday that very high to exceptionally high flooding would continue in River Sutlej, Ravi and Chenab. Torrential monsoon rains ravaged neighbouring adversaries India and Pakistan this week, with further heavy downpours forecast for this weekend. On Friday, in eastern Pakistan, floodwaters hit the outskirts of the country's second biggest city, Lahore, and threatened to submerge the major town of Jang. Earlier heavy flows that flood Gujarat, Sialkot region were now reduced to low flood, said Flood Forecasting Division Lahore. According to the National Disaster Management Authority, so far 820 people have died in Pakistan. The flooded east of the country is home to half of the 240 million population and serves as the country's breadbasket, with widespread damage to crops from the deluge. Pakistan evacuated more than 1 million people this week in the east of the country away from the path of the three overflowing rivers that come from India. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Saturday highlighted the strength and special nature of China-Kazakhstan relations as he met with Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev in the northern Chinese port city of Tianjin. Tokayev is in Tianjin for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Summit 2025, which opens on Sunday. Xi will later travel to Beijing and attend a grand military parade commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, which is scheduled for the 3rd of September. Xi noted that he and Tokayev had recently met in the Kazakh capital Astana back in June and hailed the strength of relations between the two sides. He described the short gap between this meeting and their previous one as a full reflection of the high level and special nature of China-Kazakhstan relations. Xi also said no matter how the international situation changes, the two sides should remain committed to good neighborliness, pursue openness and mutual benefit, and remain firm in working together to build a community with a shared future. Tokayev expressed strong support for China's SCO presidency and also noted that ties between the two countries are now higher than ever. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto on Saturday cancelled a planned trip to China as days of protests spread further outside the capital Jakarta, with several regional parliament buildings set ablaze. Prabowo had been due to attend a Victory Day parade in China on the 3rd of September to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. The protest, the first major test for Prabowo's nearly year-old government, began in Jakarta this week over lawmakers' pay and worsened after a police vehicle hit and killed a motorcycle rider. In the light of the protest, short video social media app TikTok, which is owned by China's ByteDance, said on Saturday it had suspended its live feature in Indonesia for a few days. Presidential spokesperson Prasetyo Hadi said in a video statement on Saturday that the president wants to continue monitoring the situation in Indonesia directly and seek the best solution. Prasetyo also explained that another consideration in cancelling the trip was a United Nations General Assembly session in September.
This place once came alive with voices. Hands were raised, carrying the hope of freedom. Here they stood, with one voice. They changed the destiny of a nation. Now, all that remains is silence. Memories. Fading into time. But the spirit they ignited still lingers. And their voices still echo within us.
Janji setia takkan dilupakan. Merdeka, merdeka gemuruh jiwa dengan ini.
Independence is not a relic of the past. It is a trust we carry, a promise to the future. Once they spoke for tomorrow, and now that legacy lives on in our voices today. Selamat menyambut Hari Kebangsaan.
In sports, Chelsea officially signed Garnacho from Manchester United. Stay tuned. Kicking off our sports segment, Karim Benzema bagged a perfect hat-trick on Saturday as Al Ittihad began their defence of the Saudi Pro League title with an empathetic 5-2 win away to Al Aqdud. The former Ballon d'Or winner opened the scoring just 4 minutes in slotting home on his left foot after the host lost possession in their own box. Dutch winger Steven Bergwijn also put his name on the scoreboard with a ball in from a free kick to make it 2-0. Colombian midfielder Sebastian Pedrosa cut the deficit in the 27th minute with a header, but Al Ittihad hit back within 2 minutes as Hosam Akwa's shot was deflected in by Said Al-Rubai for an own goal. Although Juan Sebastian Pedrosa reduced the deficit for Al Aqdud in the 27th minute, their hopes were dashed shortly after an Al-Rubai accidentally scored an own goal while trying to block Mohamed Naif. Benzema then headed in from a Fabinho cross 6 minutes after restart, with Pedrosa scoring a second for Al Aqdud before the 37-year-old French striker completed his perfect hat-trick from a near-post volley on his favourite right foot. Al Ittihad's victory continues their impressive away form in the Saudi Pro League. They have now won 4 consecutive away matches, scoring at least 3 goals in each game since last season. Chelsea have signed Argentine winger Alejandro Garnacho from Manchester United on a 7-year contract, the Premier League club said on Saturday. A source close to United on Thursday that said that United had agreed a deal worth £14 million, equivalent to about $54 million with the Club World Cup's champions. The 21-year-old Garnacho's sale value is the 4th largest for a United player after Cristiano Ronaldo, Romelu Lukaku and Angel Di Maria. Garnacho, who scored 11 goals and provided 10 assists for United last season, made 144 appearances in all competitions for them, scoring 26 goals. The Argentina international was among 5 players seeking to exit the club this summer, along with Marcos Rashford, Anthony, Tyrell Malacia and Jadon Sancho. Rashford joined Barcelona on loan last month. The 21-year-old winger becomes Chelsea's 9th arrival, joining new attackers João Pedro, Liam Delap, Estevao and Jamie Gittins, and increases their outlay to £296.8 million. Chelsea, who beat Fulham 2-0 in the Premier League on Friday, visit Brentford on the 13th of September. On to tennis, top-ranked Jannik Sinner was 1 set down against Canadian Denis Shapovalov, but maintained his composure to recover and clinch a 5-7, 6-4, 6-3, 6-3 in the 3rd round of US Open on Saturday. The defending champion and world number 1 Sinner dropped his first set of the tournament on Arthur Ashe Stadium as Shapovalov unleashed some of his best tennis to get the hot start. The Italian quickly flipped the momentum, however, as he raised his level across the board, and the 27th seed produced an increasing number of errors. Across the match, he produced 5 double faults and 36 unforced errors, while his first serve percentage was just 58%. Shapovalov safely navigated deuce in the 4th game to avoid a potential bagel, and despite later having a break point, he could do little to stop Sinner's canter to victory. The 24-year-old Italian has not lost on his dominant surface as the majors since 2023, capturing 2 Australian Open titles as well as last year's trophy at Flushing Meadows. Sinner will next play either Kazakhstan's 23rd seed Alexander Bublik or American 4th seed Tommy Paul. In women's draw, American 3rd seed Coco Gauff completed a 6-3, 6-1 win over Poland's Magdalena Fresh in the US Open 3rd round on Saturday, a boost to her confidence as she finds her rhythm after a nervous start to the tournament. In her opening match, Gauff made a flurry of unforced errors and had struggled with her serve in a tearful 2nd round win. However, the 2023 champion maintained a winning mentality and kept her cool to subdue the 28th seed. After trading early breaks, Gauff broke the pole in the 8th game and pumped her fist in celebration as French sent a shot out on set point. She outlasted French in a 20-shot rally to get the break in the 3rd game of the 2nd set and broke her 2-love in the 5th as the unseeded pole made a number of unforced errors. The American was firing on all cylinders from the baseline in the final game and gave credit to her devoted fans after sealing victory. She is next set to play against Australian 5th seed Daria Kasatkina or twice former champion Naomi Osaka of Japan. Moving on to cycling, Belgium's Jasper Philipsen sprinted to victory in Stage 8 of the Vuelta a España on Saturday, edging out Elia Viviani and Ethan Vernon in a photo finish as Torsten Terrin retained the red jersey. Viviani's teammates tried to lead him out in the last kilometre of the 163.5-kilometre flat ride from Monzon to Zaragoza, but Philipsen, who also won the first stage, made a late push to cross the line first. Former Tour de France points classification winner Philipsen said he lost contact with his lead out in the last kilometre. Norwegian Terrin remains 2 minutes and 33 seconds ahead of Jonas Vingegaard in the general classification with 13 stages remaining. Philipsen's 15th Grand Tour stage win closed the gap on points classification leader Mads Pedersen to 12 points. Johan Bao, Sergio Samitier and Jose Luis Faura established a 4-minute lead on the chasing pack in the first 20 kilometers of Stage 8. Dylan Van Barrel tried to position himself in front of peloton with 5 km to go, but by the last kilometer, Lotto riders had the upper hand before Philipsen's final move. Britain's Oliver Knight withdrew from the race due to illness and George Bennett abandoned. The Vuelta continues on Sunday with a 195-kilometer hilly ride from Alfaro to Valdescarre. In motorsport, 8-time world champion Sebastian Ogier staged a remarkable comeback at the WRC's Rally del Paraguay on Saturday to seize the lead from Toyota teammate Kalle Rovanperä. Ogier started the day 17.8 seconds behind the overnight leader, but now holds a 10.3-second advantage with French compatriot Adrien Formax in second going into Sunday's final 4 stages. Rovanperä meanwhile sunk to 6th overall after a front right puncher halfway through the Artigas stage wrecked his weekend. Hyundai's Formax held on to second place ahead of championship leader Elfyn Evans in third, but damper problems on the last 2 stages hindered his ability to challenge Ogier for the lead. Sebastian Ogier of France moved up to third ahead of his Toyota teammate, championship leader Elfyn Evans. Meanwhile, M Sport 4 drivers Josh McLean and Gregor Munster were forced to retire due to impact damage. Colourful stories await in our offbeat segment. British record listing platform Guinness World Records marks its 70th anniversary on Wednesday. The initiative first began in the UK when Hugh Beaver of Guinness Breweries was eager to know the fastest game bird in Europe. Unable to find the answer in any reference book, Beaver hired twin brothers Norris and Ross McWriter, who ran a fact-finding agency in London. The Guinness magnate hired the twins to compile a book of factual records, which went to stores in 1955 and topped the bestseller list by Christmas. Since then, the Guinness Book of World Records has turned into a franchise that includes books, TV series, museums, and global exercises to create and mark new world records. To mark the 70th anniversary of Guinness World Records, the organization reconnected with some iconic record holders from the past who touched upon how a Guinness certification shaped their life. Professional card stacker Brian Berg recalled the time when he first achieved the world record for the tallest house of freestanding playing cards. Berg has 4 Guinness records to his name and has often smashed his own records over the years. For gymnast turned actor Najee Richardson, aiming for the records has been a crucial experience to set seemingly impossible goals.
There's so many different records and so many different areas of Guinness World Records that a person can put themselves in, and I think it's really cool just to set a goal for yourself, a really cool, seemingly impossible goal that you can set for yourself to achieve. It pushes you past your limit and you can become the very best version of yourself, whatever field you're in. And I think having Guinness World Records as a motivation is really cool because you're doing something that no one else has ever done before, and how many people can say that?
It is Guinness' ability to also reward unconventional feats and strange inventions that appeals to some record holders. China's first 8K movie shot in space titled Zhengzhou 13 was officially launched in Beijing on Friday. Produced by China Media Group CMG, the film is set to premiere nationwide on the 5th of September. The film features footage captured by Zhengzhou, 13 astronauts Zai Zijiang, Wang Xiaoping, and Zhi Guanfu. The story is based on the crew's 6-month orbital mission in the country's space station. The movie showcases never-before-seen cosmic vistas and intimate glimpses of life aboard the space station. As China's first space-based film project, it was shot during fully domestically developed 8K ultra-high-definition cameras. On the 16th of October 2021, the Zhengzhou 13 mission sent 3 astronauts to China's space station core module for a 6-month stay. The crew spent a total of 183 days in orbit, setting a new record for the longest continuous space flight by Chinese astronauts. Havana turned back time on Saturday during the first vintage car competition held in the Cuban capital city that paid tribute to the efforts of classic vehicle owners to preserve what has become an iconic part of the island.
Cuba se ha abierto últimamente a nuevos mercados automovilísticos, asiáticos, europeos, con autos modernos que son más eficientes, incluso con autos eléctricos. Pero el cubano a pie no rechaza lo que es un clásico, sobre todo porque muchos de estos autos son de familia, o sea, son herencias de familiares que han estado en la familia por años y significan mucho de la historia de Cuba. Siempre han estado aquí, son muestras de la resiliencia del cubano, de la resistencia, son muestras de una etapa anterior que tuviera el país, le gustara o no a algunas personas. Están ligados a lo que es Cuba. Ya Cuba no se consigue si no es con autos clásicos.
The Elegance Competition of Cuba, as the contest was named, brought together automotive relics in Havana where owners exchanged experiences. Vintage cars competed in different categories, including Classic Soviet, Classic Europe and Classic American, and 4 special awards were on offer: Most Elegant, Best Integral Restoration, Cuban Automotive Spirit and the Publix Award. Although Cuba has seen an increase in car imports from different markets, the island is considered by many to be a living museum of classics. A set of carved stone animals, a fox, a vulture and a wild boar, is shedding light on the way prehistoric people told stories after being unearthed by archaeologists in southeastern Turkey. Dating back some 11,500 years, the trio of figurines found at the Karahan Tepe archaeological site is the first known example of objects being arranged in a specific way to convey a narrative. Unearthed late last year, the artifacts are now on display at the presidential complex in Turkey's capital, Ankara, along with other items unearthed at Karahan Tepe, which dates back to 9,500 BC. The set of animal figures, each one about 3.5 cm tall, was found in a small container covered with a stone lid and placed inside another larger vessel. Each of the 3 figurines had its head placed into a limestone ring. The intricacies of the arrangement reflect the figurines used as part of a carefully prepared composition.
Burada tabii önemli olan bu figürlerin taş halkaların içerisine başlarının sokulmuş olması, bu hayvanların seçilmiş olması ve bütünü düşündüğümüzde de burada bir hikayenin anlatılmak istenmiş olması bu boyutu grubunu farklılaştırıyor.
Karahan Tepe is one of the earliest settlements of the Neolithic period situated nearby Göbekli Tepe, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is believed to be the world's oldest. Both sites are a part of a wider Neolithic research project called Stone Hills that includes various settlements dotted across the Turkish province of Sanliurfa and where excavations are ongoing. And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, Prime Minister of Yemen's Houthis government and several other ministers killed in an Israeli airstrike. Do join us again this evening at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. We leave you with a clip of Independence Day celebration in Putrajaya. I'm Olivia Nicholas, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Goodbye for now. Have a fantastic celebration.